Alright guys, welcome back again to more Tsukihime. Let's see this through. A memory whose brilliance no number of lifetimes can dim. A comically simple answer to life's mysteries that turned the theologian's world upside down. Now I see. That was why he hated Arcueid so viciously. He had no choice. She stole his innocence. A single glimpse of her overturned his every conviction. That moonlit flower embodied the futility of his grand thesis. What else could he do but despise her very being? His life's work slipped through his fingers like sand. All he could do was curse his own foolish weakness. To protest how easily his dream was usurped. His pride and zeal left him no choice but enmity. He made of her a nemesis whom he might defeat and debase, and in so doing regain his former self. As a man of God, his path was sound, but as a human, it was fatally mistaken. The man who once sought the most powerful true ancestor in order to become immortal, in the end, became immortal in order to bring the most powerful true ancestor to her knees. Rose stole Arcueid away, while she remained ignorant of her own vampirism, then coerced her into drinking his blood to bind their soul to his. With this single act, all the powers of a vampire became his to command, while for her moment of weakness, Arcueid lost her mind and slaughtered her fellow true ancestors. It was for that purpose that he pushed Arcueid to the brink, attained immortality through transmigration, and ceded his lifespan to her control. How could he have been so blind? He thought it was loathing that compelled him to wait for Arcueid lifetime after lifetime. No loathing could accomplish that. In all his years devoted to dissecting the human experience, he learned nothing of the human heart. What was it that he felt for her, so strongly that it drove him to alter his course? It may resemble hatred, but hatred could never beget such faith. Above all else, Roa had faith in Arcueid. Faith that she would follow him, deny him, and kill him time after time, and so lead him to eternity. He knew that destination was a fantasy, yet embarked upon his voyage nonetheless. And so he forged onwards into infinity. He cast his soul adrift on the tides of time, knowing its journey would outlast the man who began it. Such is the ending Michael Royal Vandermeer chose. A little end for a little man, who never learned that what drove him was called love. In an instant, or perhaps a lifetime, the last testament of the man who sought infinity through reincarnation, the man at the root of all this tragedy, passes before my eyes. Arcueid watches on wordlessly. She still emanates hostility, bristles with bloodlust, but she allows me time to recover from the reverie. For a brief moment, the idea that this all might be some kind of sick joke crosses my mind.
余裕ね。考える時間をあげたのに、そんな無駄なことに使うなんて。逃げる算段はしないの？それともとっくに観念して、私に首を差し出すつもりなの？シキ。
だよな。
Yeah, there's no way I'm lucky enough for it to be that easy. I'm a vampire now, and Arcueid doesn't mess around when it comes to her fellow vampires.
どっちもありえない話だ。俺はロアなんて奴には負けない。吸血鬼にもならない。明日になれば、きっと。
I'm sure Ciel will come back with an answer. My job is to survive until then. I can't let Arcueid kill me here.
やっぱり、シキはそうでなくちゃ。あなたはどんな時でも強がりを言っていた。自分の状態を把握した上で、できもしないことを達成するために本気で自分の命を使っていた。うん。だから私も確信していたわ。あなたは簡単にロアにはならない。 塔の指揮という意志が残っているうちは最後まであなたのままなんだって。
Arcueid's voice is almost cheerful. She exudes danger, but there's no animosity in it. Perhaps she just decided to kill me at her leisure, but it seems more like she's genuinely enjoying our conversation. Come to think of it, this park means a lot to us. We used to meet up here, swore to work together here. Neither of us wants to sully those memories. That's one line we've yet to cross. In which case, there may still be room for a peaceful resolution. If I can somehow convince Arcueid to back down, I might have a chance of making it until morning.
そりゃありがたい。そこまで信じてるんならもう放っておいてくれ。ロアとは俺がきっちり型をつける。結果はどうなるにしろ必ず息の根を止めて転生を終わらせてやる。俺たちならそれができるんだ。だからお前はこのまま。
帰れっていうのなら聞かないわ。指揮が当てにしているのは教会の連中でしょ。あいつらにロアを封印されるのはお断りよ。ロアを処分するのは自分の力を取り戻すためでもある。だからね、ロアを内包した人間は私の手で始末をつけないと意味がないわ。
バカ、それだって意味がないぞ。ロアの転生体を殺したところで奴は生き続ける。お前が奴に与えちまった血だって戻らな。
私が与えた血が何？
My words stop dead in my throat. Every muscle in my body tenses. It's like my consciousness has been forcibly ejected from my body and wrestled out of my control. Death just breathed down my neck. I came very close to pressing Arcueid's berserk button.
ロアに取られた力だって戻らないだろう。
全部はね。でも封印と転生は別よ。今封印されたら力を横取りされたままだけど、殺して転生させてしまえばロアは私から力を引き出さない。たった10年程度のことだけど気持ちは落ち着くわ。人間だって自分の小指を他人に使われたら嫌でしょ。それと同じよ。
I don't like it that someone else controls my body now. I get it. Killing me won't sever Arcueid and Roa's connection, but it would render it inert, at least for the last time he spends gestating inside his new host. That's why she has to wait until he awakens before seeking him out, and why she keeps killing him in the absence of a more permanent solution. And I am no exception. Every moment she leaves Roa's host alive is another moment Roa can use her powers as his own. Killing them won't solve the root of the problem, but it's better than allowing Roa free reign.
そうかよ。それじゃどうしても。
I'm a dead man walking.
でもね、シキ。あなたの中にいるロアの波動は弱々しいわ。きっとあいつは胎児から始めないとその人間になり変われない。私に転生体を潰されてなんとかあなたの中に転移したのはいいけど、それが限界。ロアとあなたは意識こそ溶け合うものの完全に上書きされることはない。
完全には上書きされない。アルクエイド、それって。
ええ、ロアの純度はますます下がるでしょう。
Oh, that's good news.
それなら殺すまでもない。私はロアに奪われた力が私の下で動けばそれでいいんだから。
She doesn't need to kill Roa. But then, why is she here? And why? Why is she staring at me with such apprehension?
わからないな。何が言いたいんだ、アルクエイド。
あなたに私のしもべになれと言っているのよ。
What? No? My brain goes blank and my lungs freeze. For once, not because she's intimidating me. She really means it. I can feel the weight of what she's asking, hanging behind every single word. I grit my teeth, bite back the tears welling in my eyes. It's over. What's been said can't be unsaid. Any chance of reconciliation died with those words. The friendship we shared is gone, never to return. All I can do now is accept the loss.
私、本気だから。返事を聞かせて。
I hear something unthinkable in her voice. She's nervous. My worst headache yet explodes behind my eyes. Inside me, Roa rails against Arcueid's request. Whether his anger is born of disappointment with her or envy of me, I can't tell.
私のしもべになるのなら、ロアの侵食は止めてあげる。
No. No. Do not want to turn. Thank you, though.
それで今までの塔の式の生活はおしまい。
Like I said, no thank you. No. No.
これからは夜の世界に生きるものになるけど、あなたのあり方は維持されるわ。そのままじゃあなたは大なり小なり自分が失われるんだから、考えるまでもないと思うけど。
簡単に言ってくれるな。どうやってロアを抑え込むって言うんだよ、お前は。
あら、ロアを止められるのはあなただけよ、シキ。けどその方法ではシキ自身も死んでしまう。だから私の方法はシキ自身を強くするだけ。あなたがロアより強い心を持てば、ロアがどう暴れようと関係ないでしょ。
Another hammer blow strikes my head. Roa is thrashing about inside my brain. Do not let her fool you, he screams. She will turn you into her plaything. I heave a deep breath. I don't believe Roa for a second, but right now, Arcueid might be just as much of a threat. She seems unbalanced. Anything she suggests is unlikely to be reasonable by human standards. She says she'll make me strong enough to resist Roa's influence. But what if that means numbing me to everything else too? I take off my glasses. With my other hand, I draw my life from my pocket. I pop out the blade and raise it in front of my face.
シキ。
お断りだ。俺はお前のものになんかならない。
そっか、仕方ないな。なら力つくね。
That is not the face I want to see when she associates it with the fact that she's gonna make me. Her boots clack on the stone pavement.
あなたには殺されたこともあるし、一度お返しをしてあげなくっちゃって思ってたんだ。
I'd prefer candy, food, not death. Her pale figure surges towards me with a burst of wind. I don't have a second to hesitate to think through my options. By the time my brain catches up, I'm battling for my life against the one person I never wanted to fight. Sparks fly as my knife clashes against Arcueid's claws. Instinct is all that saves me from death, as her beautiful form surges forward beneath the golden moon. Again, our weapons glance off each other. I can't even follow her movements. Again, I don't sense any lethal intent behind her blows, but she doesn't need that to tear me limb from limb. Again, my body moves of its own accord. My mind might as well be blank. I'm like a robot, mindlessly deflecting Arcueid's strikes in pursuit of my prime directive, survival. My lips curl into a sardonic smile. Repulsive as it is, I must be mostly vampire already. Practically unkillable while the sun is down, with physical abilities no human could match. I'm starting to see what Noelle found so appealing. This dizzying freedom would loosen anyone's attachment to their human morals and values. But it's not enough. Even free from the constraint of thinking, my body can't keep up with Arcueid's frenzied assault. My only real weapon, my eyes, can't help me here. I can't hurt Arcueid when she has no line to death. It's like she once told me, as long as the moon is high, the very concept of death doesn't exist for her. My knife is brushed aside. I can't quite avoid the blow bearing on my shoulder. Fortunately, Arcueid hits me with her palm, not her claws. But that's the smallest of mercies. The impact still launches me high into the air. With an ungainly landing, I ready my knife once more. My back is to the wall here, but I still can't see a way out. No matter how hard I squint, I can't make out any lines of death. My throat is burning. My heart is on the verge of exploding. Only now do I realize that, struck with terror by Arcueid's crimson eyes, I've been drawing shallow breaths ever since I arrived.
どう？少しは目が覚めた？
By contrast, she isn't even out of breath. Pretty insensitive while I'm shutting down from oxygen deprivation over here.
本当に強情ね。それだけの強さがあるんなら、さっさとロバを殺してしまえばよかったのに。
何言ってるんだ、お前。
My chest heaves as I finally drink in air. Apparently, even vampires need oxygen to make use of their blood reserves. I had no idea. Well, again, in most vampiric lores, they don't breathe, because they're dead.
いいか、自分の手でロアを殺すってことはあれだ。要は自殺するってことだ。
It would be like sticking a knife into my own heart. If I were to do that, Roa would probably die. You know what I'm just remembering? There was a point when Shiki was looking at himself in the mirror and he shattered it. I wonder if that meant that he could see Roa's line of death, and if he struck it, he wouldn't be possessed anymore. He wouldn't be under his influence. That could be it. Or I could be wrong. And both Arcueid and Cia would be free of his shadow. But there's no way of knowing what that would do to me. I'm not even sure if I can see my own lines of death, or whether I would be capable of cutting them. But more to the point,
それができればとっくにやってる。死にたくないから、生き物として弱いから、俺はこんなところまで来ちまったんだろう。
I hiss with irritation as I finally catch my breath. That's strong, huh? How strong would that be? I suppose sacrificing one's own life as an act of resistance takes strength, of a sort, regardless of the morality of it all.
そんな強さは願い下げだよ。悪いけど、そう簡単にお前の思い通りには。
呆れた。そこまで吸血鬼の体になっているのに、まだ人間の基準から抜け出せていないなんて。
That should be considered a good thing.
でもまあ、しょうがないか。人間は停止したら治らないんだもの。そう簡単に考えは変わらないわよね。
Arcueid's voice is tinged with disappointment and pity. It doesn't feel like she's trying to mock or provoke me. Rather, it sounds like she's trying to point out something important that I've missed.
あなたがその目をもう一段階深く理解すれば、魂だけを仕留めることだってできる。
Oh, I'm thinking I may be right. I'm thinking all he had to do was look in the mirror, and then he could kill the point of death of, Roa.
魂を失った肉体は存在指針をなくして停止してしまうけど、それはあくまで二次的な結果。吸血鬼であれば肉体は生きてさえいれば蘇生する。あとはどちらの魂が生き残るか。一人分の死の点と二重になっている魂。
Okay, now she said two souls share 1 point of death. I thought it would be 2 points of death, Shiki's and Roa's.
なら死に絶えるのは意志が弱い方だと思わない？
待て、ちょっと待って、それはどういう。
ダメ、待ったげない。
Oh, you gave us a hint. Arcueid darts forward like a thunderbolt. I still can't keep pace with her physically, but I've gotten a feel for her speed. Though I know it will be in vain, I lash out with my knife the instant she vanishes from sight. Its point skitters off her shapely nose. As I feared, without the lines of death, I can't even scratch her. She's tough in her own right, but it's my own weakness that's the real problem. With Vlav's physical and magical capabilities, I might have sent her reeling at least.
軽い軽い。
She comes at me with an imperious overarm swing, wide open and purposely slow. It's obvious she's going easy on me, daring me to challenge her.
ああ、お前の頭がな。
I'd be crazy to stand here and keep trying to trade blows with Arcueid when I have no hope of landing one. Her bear's paw with a swing buffets the air in front of my face as I leap backwards. I blink in surprise. I only meant to hop back half a meter or so, but I've thrown myself about 5.
そうそう、そうでなくちゃ。少しは分かってきたよね、シキ。
It was me who wasn't giving her enough credit. That clumsy swipe wasn't meant to slash, but to launch. I realized this as I noticed a visible wall of wind closing in on me. It's the same manipulation of natural forces she used to decimate the undead. A whisper in the back of my mind remarks that without any magical defenses, I'll be wrung out like a wet rag. But the warning comes too late to make a difference. The impending shockwave fills my vision. It'll catch me if I try to dodge backwards or sideways. There's only one way out. Up. As soon as the thought forms, my legs propel me into the air. I cry out in surprise. Unexpectedly high doesn't even begin to describe it. I can see the entire fountain square below me. I must have jumped at least 10 meters straight up.
いや、吸血鬼すごいな。
でしょ？
A voice comes from above. I'm not even given the chance to be startled. Ow. A brutal punch sends me crashing back to earth. Playtime's over, Arcueid seems to say, as she plants a haymaker square in my chest. My back smacks hard against the ground.
休む暇とかあげないから。
Arcueid isn't even close to being done with her punching bag. She follows up with a series of even weightier blows. 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes, 4. By the time the 5th comes around, I have nothing left to block with. Well, of course, it was stupid to expect otherwise. I couldn't fend off this dizzying flurry in 1,000 years, even without the damage it took from the fall. Despite her breezy tone, Arcueid was as earnest as I've ever seen her. That was a heartfelt request. Ever since she first showed herself, she was bracing herself for how I might respond. I misjudged my own abilities, and underestimated how much this mattered to her. Against this vampire princess in naked sincerity, my half-baked cluelessness never stood a chance. The back of my head cracks against a paving stone. Arcueid's weight presses down on my shoulders. Checkmate. She's bowled me over and pinned me down before I could even react. Arcueid stares down at me wordlessly. It's over. Dislodging someone of the same body mass who's straddling you is next to impossible. Not that I have hope in the hell of overpowering her anyway. Now she just has to reach out with her claws and crush my head like a grape. But the end doesn't come. She has Roa at her mercy. Me at her mercy. But she just keeps on glaring. The silence grows maddening. Like a thread stretched taut. Like a pallid moon. I swallow unconsciously. She's so close. I can't tell where her breathing ends and mine begins. We're close enough to embrace, yet as far from each other as the earth and the moon.
なんだよ。もういいだろ。人思いに始末しろよ。殺した後で血を吸って、ゾンビにでも何でもしろ。
Better that than the pain of seeing her like this.
命乞いはしないの。宣言撤回とかまだ受け付けてもいいんだけど、殺したら血を吸うしかなくなるわ。あなたが自分から私と契約するのなら血のやり取りなんてしなくて済む。
そっか。血を吸うのが怖いんだっけ、お前。それはいいけどさ、俺がお前に従うと仮定してロアをどうするつもりなんだ。お前は俺を殺さないって言うけど、俺が生きている限りロアは生き続けるんだぞ。
希薄になったロアは放っておいても構わないわ。そうね。だからあなたを見逃してあげてもよかった。
なんだ、遠慮しないで見逃せよ。俺なんかに構ってないでさ、早く故郷に帰ってパパを安心させてやれ。
でもね、もともと自分の力なんだから取り戻そうとするのは当然でしょ。それに何より。
She shifts on top of me. The weight on my shoulders increases.
私はあなたを殺してロバを眠らせるよりこのまま死期を取り込みたい。殺して亡くしてしまうよりもっと一緒に過ごしたい。前みたいに死期の声を聞いていたい。
That's why I won't kill you, her crimson eyes beg.
信じられないけど私はあなたが好き、大好きだから助けてあげる。血も吸わないし死期の嫌がることは決してしない。
Just do what I say, her crimson eyes plead. There's no question that these are her true feelings. Arcueid wouldn't lie. She's too pure a creature for that. Too honest. So she deserves an honest answer. Oh. Oh. Wait. I can't pick! It must be one of those things. I might have to just go with this choice first and then replay it again. Okay. I can't be her, so it's safe for now anyway. Even though I can't pick. Let's do... I can't be her servant.
お願いだから逆らわないで。私にあなたを殺させないで。
I can hear the desperation in her voice. But I can't give her what she wants. My place isn't with Arcueid anymore. Not because the rules of human society forbid it. Because my heart won't allow it. I am fundamentally incapable of understanding people. I'm just some wretch trapped between life and death, hovering over this threshold until I finally cross it. And yet, she came to me, praising how hard I tried, showing me I had a purpose. Although I can hardly believe it myself, I found someone I care for more than my own life. I breathe deep and steel myself.
四季
Her gaze softens just a little, as though to ward off the words she knows are coming.
ダメだ。お前には従わない。
I never imagined her perfect eyes could look so stricken with pain. If I were a good enough liar to deceive myself, I might have been able to spare her feelings. No, even then.
どうして四季がこんなに好きなのにダメなの？
当たり前だろ。今のお前はロアと同じだ。
To me, the woman in whom I saw eternity was the woman whom I met in a back alley. The woman who smiled for her irredeemable murderer.
だから吸血鬼には従わない。
To conflate this Arcueid with that woman would insult her memory, and that I will not do. I lash out with my knife in a futile act of resistance. The slash lacks serious intent, if not conviction, but that's not what stops it dead at her neck. I physically can't cut through her skin.
やめて。なんで？なんで？
Her beautiful features contort with misery. My answer must have wounded her beyond measure.
違うもの。違うから。やめて。取り消して。あいつと同じなんかじゃない。いくら好きでもそんな言葉。
My headache intensifies in tandem with my self-loathing. Do I see a line of death on her neck? I see something at Arcueid's neck. A line of death so fine it's barely visible. Oh crap, I'm gonna cut her head off. I must have hurt her so deeply that even here, beneath the golden moon, her armor is cracking. But I can't afford sympathy.
違わない。いいから頭冷やして出直してこい。
And I take advantage of her distress to cut the line across her throat. Suddenly, I'm free. Arcueid slumps on top of me, unmoving. Cutting her line of death must have incapacitated her. I extract myself from her pale embrace and back away while I still can. With her weight off of me, I can finally breathe. My shoulders heave as I try to calm my hammering heart. I'm unhurt, but I've only brought seconds at best. Knowing Arcueid's regenerative abilities, she'll get back up and come at me any second. Arcueid's arms splay wide beneath her own weight. She collapses face first onto the stone pavement, looking for all the world like she's sleeping. At the sight of red, my body freezes. I expected blood. I know what it means to cut a throat, but I didn't expect her to keel over so easily like she was human.
アルクエイド。
She doesn't move. Slowly but steadily, the pool of blood grows wider. It seeps into her clothing, staining her ethereal white gruesome red. No, I couldn't have killed her. Could I?
嘘だろ。アルクエイド。そんな。
Repressing my instinct to run away, I take a step closer, and my breath catches. Her arm jerks. With an unnatural lurch, a single arm plants itself on the ground like a spider's spindly limb. I hear a sound, like the cracking of ice as the world freezes over. Well, that can't be good. Warm breath and hot blood spill from her throat. Her arm trembles as she forces herself up. Scarlet pours over the ground in a ceaseless torrent. Her body silently peels itself off the slick stone. Her head rises from the pool of blood. I glimpse her eyes through matted blonde hair. Their sockets are the sunken hollows of a corpse. But in their depths rages crimson fire.
Arcueid.
Oh, Shiki, you unleashed the monster. Her eyes stare wildly at nothing. Too weak to get up using one hand, she splashes graciously back into the pool of blood. Red stains her white clothing with each motion. Again and again. She tries to stand, fails, and falls once more. She almost seems to take pleasure in the pitiful spectacle. I can't move. Arcueid's voice, her person, her will flood unstoppably into my mind. The torrent seizes my frail ego, swamps it, drowns it. The world spins round and round. As I struggle against the vortex, her thoughts surge into my brain. Never have I suffered such pain. Never have I felt such hatred. Ah, how delightful. To unleash this urge burgeoning within me would bring pleasure beyond imagining. It might break you. No, it'll shatter you. The sweet tragedy would tear a hole in my chest, never to heal. I know. I'll dash you to pieces, shell and yolk, so nothing remains. I'll permit you no escape. I will show you no mercy. Never again will I lose you, nor the warm beating of your heart. Oh, I don't like this at all.
待っていて。すぐに殺してあげるから。
Oh, Yandere mode activated. Arcueid thrashes about in a pool of her own blood, laughing like a woman gone mad. I can't move. My brain stutters. Staying here means certain death. If I want to live, I have to run. Anywhere will do. Anywhere, so long as it isn't here. But my legs are frozen stiff. What's worse, I know why. It's the fault of my own realism, my own ingrained rationality. I'm as good as dead no matter where I go. My body instinctively knows that flight, the last refuge of the weak, won't save me. The vampire rises jerkily from the pool of blood. I watch helplessly through glazed eyes. The image of a tomato sitting on a plate comes to mind. That's what I must be in her eyes. Ripe, appetizing, powerless to defend myself. Easy prey for a starving beast. Oh, A barrage of shooting stars lights up the night. Countless black keys baned to vampires for centuries impale Arcueid's defenseless body.
第7の死因よキヨ
Damn! A black whirlwind blasts mercilessly through her torso, the finishing touch in this brutal assault. It happens in an instant. Ciel swoops in from high above to pin Arcueid down with a volley of black keys, then barrels towards her with her oversized stake driver. Wind-whipped black collides with bloodstained white. The dust clears to reveal Ciel's stake driver reduced to scrap by vampiric claws, but not before its payload pinned Arcueid to the ground.
何よこれ何よこれ
Again, she thrashes in a pool of her own blood, but this time I sense panic. She claws at the stake lodged in her chest, but her hands, slick with gore, slide off ineffectually. Or perhaps there's something special about that stake that can keep even Arcueid subdued.
シエルトーノ君何してるんですかこっちです
One voice dripping with the promise of bloody murder, another desperate to galvanize me into action. Together, they break me free from terror's grasp.
先輩
いいですから早く逃げるんです彼女が杭を抜く前に早く
She grabs my arm and pulls me after her.
先輩どうして
どうしても何も聞きたいのはこっちの方です急いで帰ってきてみれば公園があれでアルクエイドがあれなんですから
So the overwhelming chill I felt wasn't in my head. The world was actually distorting around me. How may Ciel manage to keep a clear head in the face of such intimidating power?
すみません部屋から出たのは謝ります頭の痛みにどうしても耐えられなくて外に出たらアルクエイドがいてあいつ自分のものになれとか言い出して
そうですかアルクエイドはロアとトーノ君を混同しているんですねいえそれも覚悟の上ですここでは話になりません急ぎます
Ciel leads me onto the streets. From our bearing, it's easy to guess where we're headed. Our school. Why? The sports field is deathly silent. At this late hour, the school feels like an abandoned prayer hall, isolated from the urban noise. Neither Arcueid's bloodstained hellscape, nor the white cocoon blanketing the city, can intrude upon this sacred ground. Not yet, at least.
落ち着きましたかトーノ君背中を打っているようですが怪我は
ありませんさっきまでは傷んでいましたけど
My transformation must be progressing. Arcueid crushed my shoulder blade when she pushed me to the ground, but it's already healed. Or rather, regenerated.
それより先輩アルクエイドから離れたいのはわかるけどどうして学校に
ここなら他に被害は出ませんからトーノ君は先に校舎の中に入っていてください彼女の排除は私がします
That's stupid. Those words send me into shock. No, I'm lying to myself. I knew this was coming. I just didn't want to think about it.
先輩はアルクエイドと戦うんですか
それ以外に選択肢はないでしょう彼女の方からこちらにやってくるんですから今代のロアいえ他ならぬあなたを殺すために
I almost object but bite my tongue. She's right. My mind turns back to what I've seen tonight. The creature Arcueid has become cares only about killing me. Any hope of talking her down died back in the park. Well, it technically died the moment you sliced her neck, but...
もう時間はありません。今アルクエイドが杭を外しましたから。校舎に移動しましょう。遮蔽物がある方が人間には有利です。
Ciel takes my arm and runs towards the school building.
どのみち遠野くんを守るためには彼女と決着をつけなくてはいけなかった。
We dash together down the moonlit corridor. Ciel presses her hand to the walls as we run, engraving magical formulae on them. They are, of course, traps she's laying in preparation for her impending battle with Arcueid.
彼女が活動していると、そのしもべであるロアの意志も活性化する。遠野くんの中のロアを抑えるには、まず彼女を眠らせるか追い返す必要があった。ですからここで彼女を倒すのは一石二鳥です。何があったのかは知りませんが、あの出血量はアルクエイドであっても致命傷でしょう。杭打ち機を壊されましたが、手持ちの武装だけで倒しきってみせます。ここまでですね。遠野くんは3階で隠れていてください。彼女と戦うのは私の役割ですから。
That I can't do. I was the one who drove Arcueid to madness. Besides, Ciel can't fool me. I can sense her trepidation. She doesn't stand a chance and she knows it. She's just trying to put me at ease.
俺も戦います。あいつをおかしくしたのも、先輩の言いつけを守れなかったのも、俺がバカだったからです。だからせめて自分でケリをつけないと。
遠野くん、私怒りますよ。
え？
Ciel glares daggers at me. Though she seems more exhausted than angry.
私の体のことは知っているでしょ。私は何があっても死にません。けど遠野くんは別です。
Actually, I can. As long as this guy's in me, I'll be fine.
確かにあなたの目ならアルクエイドを倒せるかもしれませんが、その前に彼女の爪があなたを殺します。遠野くん言ったじゃないですか。私を幸せにしてくれるって。ならお願いですからこんなところで死なないでください。
でも先輩一人じゃあいつには。
見くびらないでください。私が今まで何体の使徒を仕留めてきたと思っているんですか。こと吸血鬼退治なら私の右に出る者はいないのです。
Ciel strikes a confident pose. Funny. If her hands weren't trembling, I'd almost be convinced.
ダメだよ先輩。俺はそれでも。
I can't leave her to fend for herself, even if it costs me my life. But before I can tell her as much, she presses a finger to my lips.
その先はそれこそ言っちゃダメです。お願いですから私のわがままを聞いてください。一度ぐらい、本当に一度ぐらい、私だけの意志であなたを守りたいんです。そうしないと私は遠野くんに心から笑顔を向けられなくなっちゃうじゃないですか。
Tears well in her eyes as she speaks.
私がこんなに早く帰ってきたのはダメだったからなんです。